because I'm recording now. Everybody?
Hello.
I'm very glad that I was able to present this particular word. It wasn't necessarily a word, but it kind of lines up with everything that Yeshua had brought out today. Unfortunately, we didn't record that. But it just lets me know that there is some type of one accordance that is occurring within the IKM at the Ark. He brought out a word called way, and it was direct. And in the Hebrew, if you want to look at that word, it's Hebrews in the Strong's Dictionary, 1869. The word direct is a road as trodden, figuratively a course of life or a mode of action, often an adverb, along, away, because of, by conversations, customs, journey, a manner, passenger, through, toward, high path, a wayside, whither, or whatsoever. The reason why that word kind of stood out to me is because I was dealing with the scriptures in Proverbs 14 and 12. And in Proverbs 14 and 12, it states, there is a way which seemeth right unto a man, but the end thereof are the ways of death. Proverbs 16:25 states the exact same thing. There is a way that seemeth right unto a man, but the end thereof are the ways of death. Now, this morning we heard in our lessons Teshua bringing out the different ways in which people parent their children, train them up in the ways that they should go, the path that they should go. One of the interesting things that we find in Torah, and if anybody done their own particular studies, is that if you're not following the ways of Torah, you are going to follow the ways of self, Hasatan, and the culture who dictates the ways that you should follow. There's no middle ground within that. So in Proverbs, when he's stating that there is a way that seems right unto men, it was something that I recall when I was a kid. I used to like the Sunday newspapers because they had the cartoons in it. And in this particular cartoon, it was a game, and I know people are going to be familiar with that game. They would have two exact photos that were exactly alike. And the game was find out what's missing. And I really love that game because it's like you have to really look at the clues. Oh, yeah, it's a lamp in that picture. Oh, the lamp is not in that picture. But the pictures, they look exactly alike. So you have to pick out the subtleties of what was different. In this walk, or in this way, Yah has a set up course of action in the ways that we should go. The danger that occurs within that is that if you're not in Torah, you can literally believe that you're walking on the path of Yah and not be walking on the path of Yah. And they would look exactly alike. But there would be sort of subtleties that you will miss because Yah is not he's not your Yah. You have put yourself in that position of being Yah. So again, you will be walking on a path that looks familiar or similar, but it's not the path. That is the danger of not allowing Yah and Torah to rule your heart and your mind and your thoughts. Because if you don't, like I said, the culture, Hasatan, or self will lead you down the path. There is no middle ground that goes with this. The things that was pretty interesting and to me was the story of Moshe and Pharaoh. I had never seen it in that perspective before, but it became quite clear after hearing a message that Moray had brought about, and just understanding that you can travel on two different paths, or you can travel on the same path, but whoever is your guide get different results. So in Exodus 14, chapter verses 15 to 31, I'm going to read it. And Yahuwah said unto Moshe, wherefore criest thou unto me? Speak unto the children of Israel that they go forward. But lift thou up thy rod, and stretch out thy hand over the sea, and divide it. And the children of Israel shall go on dry ground through the midst of the sea. And I, behold, will harden the hearts of the Egyptians, and they shall follow them. And I will get me honor upon Pharaoh, and upon all his hosts, and upon his chariots, and upon his horsemen. And the Egyptians shall know that I am Yahuwah, when I have gathered me honor upon Pharaoh, and upon his chariots, and upon his horsemen. And the angel of Elohim, which went before the camp of Israel, removed and went behind them. And the pillar of the cloud went from before their face and stood behind them. And it came between the camp of the Egyptians and the camp of Israel, and it was a cloud and darkness to them, but it gave light by night to these, so that no one came not near the other all the night. And Moshe stretched out his hand over the sea, and Yahuwah caused the sea to go back by the strong east wind all that night, and made the sea dry land, and the waters were divided. And the children of Israel went into the midst of the sea upon dry ground, and the waters were a wall unto them on the right and on the left. And the Egyptians pursued and went in after them in the midst of the sea, even all Pharaoh's horses, his chariots, and his horsemen. And it came to pass that in the morning watch, Yahuwah looked unto the host of the Egyptians through the pillar of fire and of the cloud, and troubled the host of the Egyptians, and took off their chariot wheels, so that they drave them heavily, so that the Egyptians said, Let us flee from the face of Israel, for Yahuwah fighteth for them against the Egyptians. And Yahuwah said unto Moshe, Stretch out thy hand over the sea, that the waters may come again upon the Egyptians, upon their chariots, and upon their horsemen. And Moshe stretched forth his hand over the sea, and the sea returned to its strength when the morning appeared, and the Egyptians fled against it, and Yahuwah overthrew the Egyptians in the midst of the sea. And the waters returned, and covered the chariots and the horsemen, and all of the host of Pharaoh that came into the sea after them. There remained not so much as one of them. But as the children of Israel walked upon dry land in the midst of the sea, and the waters were a wall unto them on their right hand and unto their left. Thus Yahuwah saved Israel that day out of the hand of the Egyptians. And Israel saw the Egyptians dead upon the seashore. And Israel saw the great work which Yahuwah did upon the Egyptians. And the people feared Yahuwah and believed Yahuwah and his servant Moshe. So in that particular passage, we see that Moshe's leader and who he follows is Yahuwah. Yahuwah gave him particular direction of what to do. Told him to stretch forth his hand. The waters rose up. The east wind blew. And the path was a dry land with the wall of water being to the left and to the right of them. Clear path directed by Yahuwah. Interesting, Pharaoh saw the exact same thing. But his leading wasn't of Yahuwah. His leading was of self. His leading was of vengeance. His leading was of to do harm unto the children of Israel. So we see that there was two individuals that had their goals set on the same path. But as one was going to the path of deliverance, the other traveling on the same path was traveling on his way to destruction. So going back to Proverbs 14:12, he said, there is a way that seemeth right unto a man, but in the end thereof are the ways of death. So Pharaoh, with his heart being hardened by Yahuwah, was led to death on the same path that the children of Israel were being delivered away from the Egyptians. So what does this say to us today? What it says to us is that if Yah has allowed for us to be awoken to Torah, that it is of importance that we apply the things that he tells us to do into our lives. Because you can be following after a path that you assume is right, But when you willfully disobey Yah and Torah, you will not necessarily know that you're doing it until the end. And that's one of the dangerous things about Torah, and the thing that Teshua brought out today is that you need to make up your mind. And we see in Joshua, he had the same thing with the children of Israel, saying, choose you this day whom you will serve. So we have to make sure, not from a legalistic perspective, but making sure that our path is directed by Yah. It'd be one thing to know that you are following Yah, but it could be another thing to believe that you're following Yah and be of a reprobate mind.
Right.
Because then you cannot undo that. And if you read in Romans and Shaul, he said the people, they were given over to a reprobate mind. So there wasn't no coming back from that. So this is the very serious things about we honoring the Shabbat, honoring the commandments, doing the things that Yahuwah teaches us that we should do. We have to understand that if we're following after Yah, the path that he has for us is a proven path. If we allow for ourselves to be built up and we give the words of Yah go forth, and we transgress or feel like we don't necessarily have to do that, you can still be coming to Shabbat. You can still be meeting with people, but if your heart is not with Yah, the ways thereof are death. So that's
I'm always good at getting out of that.
any questions? Yes.
How did you come up with that comparison? I mean, it was great. It was perfect. I mean, you never think that you're going down the wrong path, but you just gave us a perfect example of they saw the exact same thing that the children of Israel saw, but yet their heart, but it was taking them to death. I mean, it's like, how do we know for sure?
How do you know for sure if you're following after the paths of Yah or if you're following after the path of self?
Well, I know that answer, but kind of, yeah.
Well, the thing is
For
that,
those who don't know.
but for those who don't know, the thing is that when you're in Torah, Yah gives us specific commandments of what we're supposed to be following. And Yah is not a Yah or a Abba that is going to allow for you to misstep if you're honestly seeking him. So the path is not going to be hidden from those who are actively seeking after Yah. It's only hidden from those who are not actively seeking Yah.
Right.
So it won't be a guessing game. Yah is not making it hard for his people to strive to get to where he wants them to be.
Thank you.
Can I do some of the things in Torah?
Some,
Yeah.
like being like lukewarm.
Like, you know, okay, like I know that he said, don't do what man do. He gives us Torah to do, but I was wondering, as I'm doing this walk, because sometimes you said that the way it looks like Torah is one way, the way of man is another way. They look so resemblance, so close. But I may want to do one of those little holidays, one of those bad little things. If I do that, is that still, if I do maybe one of them, or maybe 2 a year, is I'm still walking in Torah? And what does that look like with y'all?
What would be the end result of that?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Okay, so-
walking one little way, or just doing one little thing?
But,
No,
but I see what
she's
she's
answering the question. I get what she's saying.
Okay.
But wouldn't that also go into having a reprobate mind? Because you also know that you shouldn't be doing that, but you choose to go with self
Yes.
as opposed to abiding by God.
So when you're making little quote unquote compromises until Yah is not little compromises, because eventually you can't serve two masters. Either you're gonna love one or hate the other. So if you're saying you're following Torah and you're doing little elements of paganism and stuff like that, one is going to draw you away from it. The whole thing about being in Yah is Yah called his people to be set apart.
Okay, so I am a daddy's girl, and I love my daddy. I think there's a song out But, so when Father's Day come up, if I wanna cook him some breakfast or do something special for him, am I stepping into paganism? Because it says honor your parents.
Mhm.
As long as you're not doing it under the Father's Day umbrella.
Correct.
You do it just for to honor your father.
Yeah.
Or your.
But if it's still on the same day.
But what if it's on the day?
I mean, the thing is that you know within yourself whether you're honoring your father according to script or whether you're honoring according to the pagan Father's Day.
Right.
The whole point of what I'm saying following self is that the path is gonna look familiar to each other.
Mhm.
But you know you're gonna know within yourself, if it's self,
No, today's not Mother's Day.
No, tomorrow.
tomorrow is called.
But if your kids give you a gift, like today, you know, I mean, if they give you love or they just give you, you know, I'll be honest, my son came, my oldest came by, I was in bed, obviously, but he left me a card, you know, and a gift card. And I'm supposed to turn around and so I'm wrong, I should call him up and tell him, I don't want this card.
No.
I didn't put that, I didn't.
I'm asking,
I'm gonna ask you a question.
I'm
No, it's not judge, I'm asking.
asking a
Go ahead,
question.
Steve, I'm gonna answer.
Oh, no.
She has a,
I said I can tell you how I do it. When I start walking in Torah, I let my family, my children know. Mommy do not, I don't accept Mother's Day, birthdays, I do not do none of these holidays. Then they're gonna go, why, it's a happy time, we used to. I said, now that I know better, I will do better. But what you can do, any other day, as long as it's not on those days, because to me, and in my Torah, that is a day for the pagan man to do a celebration. You can hit me before or after. So when they bring me the present, I don't say, oh no, don't give that to me, turn that away. I tell them way in advance. So they know when that day comes, I don't get no happy Mother's Day, I don't get no birthdays. But then my daughter will come down and she say, Mom, look what me and the grandkids made for you. Mom, look what we got. I love it. It's all over my refrigerator. When you go to my house, you will see these things.
It sure
It's
is.
due is because I've already said it. I don't want my walk to look like Torah, and in that picture, that lamp is missing because I didn't do something a little off. So in my heart, so I can feel well in my walk, I ask that my family respect that, and my dad does that too. So he said, okay, baby, I know you done made a year older. You know, he'll call a couple days, your month is coming, your birthday month is coming up. I just want to tell you, you know, happy birthday, and I say thank you. I'm blessed that y'all was able to be blessing me to see another year. So I handled it before it got to that event.
Correct.
And now I'm going, when I go to the Bay Area, let's break bread, let's go to dinner. So that's how I walk with Torah. So I'm feeling like if I'm in error, will somebody correct me? Okay,
You heard
No,
the-
she said what I was basically gonna say.
yeah, you set the tone before that event happened.
Yeah. Also, we're told to honor
That's
our
my-
mother
I
and
guess my
father,
question.
and there isn't a time frame on it.
Correct.
So, and there also isn't a specific day for the honoring. You're supposed to do that throughout the time that you are here. So because the world is doing something, does not give us the right to step out of Torah and acknowledge what the world is doing.
I seen two hands, Steve.
So my question,
Oh, yeah, your question got answered?
no, it sure did, but that's okay, I'm fine.
I gotta answer.
No, you gotta answer your question.
I gotta
So-
answer, okay?
I'm fine.
Her son gave, what your son did was fine, okay? He did it honoring his mother. I just happen to know your son. He did it not, it just happened to be on Mother's Day, okay? But he did it to honor you, period. And this is the day he thought of it. That's how I see it.
Thank you.
That's where I see it.
So we honored her when, today?
Yeah.
No, so nothing wrong with that, right? No, every day, any day, so that was good. Nobody
But
was
he knows
saying,
that,
I
he
mean,
knows that tomorrow's Mother's Day.
The perspective
he
comes.
did it out of her belief
But he
in Torah.
did.
So
Yeah,
that
but like I said,
was
the
nothing.
perspective comes from how you feel about it.
Mhm.
Oh, that's cool.
That, it's not, it's what you think
They
about
can give me a
it.
gift every day and I'll be happy.
And that's all.
They can
And
just
that's what
call
it's
me.
supposed to be.
They don't have to give me a gift, they can just call me and tell me they
I
love me.
got,
Right, or
this
think
here
about it.
first.
And that makes so much more.
What you mean control
Miss
room?
Erica
Y'all
had a
question?
hand up.
Eric, no, I saw his hand up first, and
Oh,
I saw
okay.
hers.
So if I give my mom flowers tomorrow, it means I'm breaking Torah then? If I give my flowers and stuff?
Yep, you know,
The question is,
Why you didn't?
the question would be, do you feel compelled to give your mom flowers because it's Mother Day, or is it because it's your mom?
There it is.
He's doing it for both reasons.
You can't serve two.
Well, I mean, that's what he's.
Erica had a question.
Yes.
Oh, no, I was just gonna say that I think it all has to do with the spirit too, you know. You can't control what another person does. I mean,
This is true.
she did a very good job letting her family. I could do that to my family, they ain't gonna pay me 2 cents of attention. But if you have a spirit, you know, like I was saying for like birthdays and, you know, stuff like that, like God convicted me a long time ago for Christmases and Easters and stuff like that. But like, you don't have to wait for that day or anything to do it. But maybe a person just called a sale because now everything's on sale and like, okay, he probably do that every weekend or once or twice a day or whatever. But if mom is not in that spirit, like I have to get something because it's Mother's Day weekend, you know. We have to stay focused and stay on the straight and narrow and not on the wide. I believe that's what separates you from, if it's not the big thing that you're making a big deal out of it. If you're not making a big deal out of it, then you're separate from those that are sitting back like, okay, it's my day. It's all about me, you know. That spirit is what makes it, you know,
Yeah.
negative.
And the scripture you referred to, I actually had that script, Matthew 7:13 and 14. It says, enter ye into the straight gate, for wide is the gate, and broad is the way that leadeth to destruction. And many there be which go in therein, because straight is the gate, and narrow is the way which leadeth unto life, and few there be that find it. The particular thing about us is that we're trying to hold ourselves accountability to Torah. It may be certain things that may, I don't want to say gray areas, I don't even say to that point. But everything that we try to do, we want to try to line up our life, our lifestyle, our decisions, our choices upon Torah.
Right.
Because doing that, it will cause us not to be doing things or be led astray by our own thoughts. We're supposed to take our own thoughts captive about how we feel about certain things. You know, it's a certain standard that Yahuwah has set. It's not me, it's in everybody's scriptures, that either you're going to choose him or you're going to choose something else. You have to make that declaration. Because once you allow for little subtle things, I don't know, I'm not a doctor or anything like that, you know, but if you get some type of little foreign virus into your body and you don't treat it, it can spread and become worse. So when we understand certain things that are pagan, and we understand and we've been taught and you've heard it more than once, more than twice, and like you have got the understanding, like you can sit back, it's like, you know what, that makes sense. And then you still go about and doing it, then that means that you're doing it in a way that seemeth right unto you.
Right.
That was the whole point of the script. I mean, I believe David was the one that wrote a lot of Proverbs. So his example will let us know that he felt that he was doing right when he was sleeping with Bathsheba. He felt that he was doing right when he was trying to get Uriah to go sleep with his wife and bring a man who honors David and honor his men and want to stay out there and fight, and felt bad that he was at home trying to sleep with his wife when his men was out there warring and fighting. Then we thought he was doing right when he sent the letter of death in the man's hand, sent that letter to that commander to say, put him into the front of the battle. David was all in self. Now, I'm not prejudging the man. We all got our own battles, but he the one that wrote Proverbs, so he will understand that. He will understand clearly what it means to a way that seemeth right. Because we try to justify certain things to fit into what we believe is right. But then when it comes to Torah, we start to realize that's not right. So then the point is, now are you going to make the choice? Are you going to follow Yah, which may cause a lot of sacrifice and hurt and pain? Or compromise would be easy for you at the time, but in the long run, cost you. So
Wow, that was great, thank you.
No, Carol, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to add that, we're supposed to be a peculiar people. We're not supposed to look like the world, we're not supposed to look like everybody else. So when we celebrate that, we're looking like everybody else. My job, my boss, she brought in cupcakes yesterday. And when she brought them in, she said, this is for Mother's Day. Automatically, I knew I wasn't getting a cupcake.
Right.
And the girls told me to go, why don't you get a cupcake? I said, I'll celebrate Mother's Day. They said, that's okay, you can have a cupcake. I said, no, I cannot. Because she said these cupcakes are for Mother's Day.
Right.
So therefore, I'm not gonna eat them.
Did we establish what Mother's Day originated from?
No.
That is based on Cronus, the Egyptian goddess, that's what the whole idea of Mother's Day is from. So yes, we are supposed to be separated from that. It is pagan. So we need to be set apart. If we honor our mother and father, then we're honoring our mother and father no matter what. So we don't have to pick that particular day. But if we know that that day is a day, then we stay away from that day.
And the point, and I'm trying to be at the point of honoring your mother and your father just goes right in line to what Teshua was teaching. It's not buying your parents gifts. That's an element of it, but the life you live.
Right.
If they taught you Torah and you're living that life, you're honoring your mother and your father. People buy people gifts all the time,
Right.
and it could be an empty gift.
Right.
But if your parents have instilled something into you, a quality that came from Yah, and you are actively doing that, you're honoring your mother and your father. That's all I have.
No, that was good.